So anyway, let's now block in let's darken some areas with the burnt carmine, the areas where I will need to create shadow mask. Therefore, I need to lower the chroma of the red, making it less warm, less chromatic, and also extend the tonal range. So I'm going to have darker values. So here, and here, I have all these edges in here is shadow mask, right? Here, 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 and all of this. Some of it is the form shadow, some of it is cast shadow. Here. This probably could be a little, it's kind of dubious, right, what it is. So I'm going to darken a little bit more. There is a little bit of a slightly more visible patch of darkest, slightly darkest value. Now here, that's definitely too warm. So I want to push it darker with the burnt carmine. Faber-Castell makes two types of caput mortuum. Caput mortuum, the regular caput mortuum, which is what I will use later, this one, and then caput mortuum violet, which is even a darker red, but they start leaning more and more toward the violet. It's not very chromatic; it doesn't have a strong purple violet color, but it leans toward the violet. It's going to be darker here. Now I'm going to block in this with a flat layer of lines, parallel line, pushing it darker. You can see in some cases I will want to have an area in the shadow that glows. And for example, if I have here an area of shadow like this, right, and I have in this case an arm next to it, parallel to it, which catches the light. What happens, the light will hit the arm here and will reflect the light here. Now that area is going to be much warmer compared to an area that does not receive the reflected light in the shadow mass. With this method, we don't really worry much about replicating the color because we don't use enough colors to do so. But it's the exercise about, or the style, the Tracarion technique. This is more than Tracarion, but it's the same concept. Is about chroma, value, and temperature. You're gonna hear me say this, many times, explain this many times. So, but this is an example. So instead, Tracarion technique would be red, black, and white tone paper. But in this case, I'm using black. I'm gonna use at the very end. Red, of course, I'm gonna use the red. And then the white, I'm going to use a tiny little bit of white in the areas that need to be lighter than the highlight that the value of the paper will give me. But not a lot, because this paper is just barely toned, right? And it's not very dark. So I will not, most likely I will not need a lot of white. So it's going to come down like this. I'm going to go back to the Pompeian red to continue with the shadow here along the belly. And basically with the Pompeian red, which is the lightest red, I'm gonna mark in the first layer of value. That helped me to create a base, helped me to create a softer transition between this and this, because with a lighter red like this, it's easier. And so you just block in the pattern where that value, switch of value between two areas is, be it in light mesh and a shadow mesh, and then I'm gonna go over it later with the darker, more layers of Pompeian red, or darker and cooler colors if they are in the shadow, we are in the shadow mass. When I do this fold, I don't want to have a sharp line like this. I want to have a line that is soft, maybe darker in the center, but fuzzier at the margin, because the line like this will create a cut. A cut will do this kind of, right? The division of these two planes like this will create a deep, steep area that is very flat. But a fuzzy area like this, right, will create a sense of curve turning of the